Alright, I'm going to work through example 6 here on page 532. We're going to verify this trig identity, show that this equation is actually true. One thing I want to do first here is pick a side to work with. And both of these sides look a little complicated, but I'm going to pick the right-hand side here because we've got tangent and secant there. So I'm going to work with that and try and show you how this side can be manipulated and changed to actually be the left-hand side. So left-hand side, I'm never going to change that. I'm going to leave that the same all the way through. So I'll go ahead and write that out here. And then when I'm looking at the right-hand side, I see I got secant minus 1 on the bottom, and then I recognize that tangent squared, I can write that as secant squared minus 1. That's an identity of tangent squared. Then I'm not going to write this anymore, but I'm going to just kind of keep that in mind as I'm going down. I'm going to keep working with this side here. So I'm going to go ahead and factor the top of this. If I factor this, I'll get things that can cancel out on the top and the bottom. So secant squared minus 1 factors to be secant minus 1 times secant plus 1. So then you have secant theta minus 1 on the bottom. And you see what's going to cancel out there. This will cancel out with this. Those will go away. So let me cross those out. That goes away with that. So then all I have on the right-hand side is secant of theta plus 1. Now I got to try and get that. I'm going to bring this back in here to be 1 plus cosine over cosine. This is where you got to be a little bit creative here. Secant is 1 over cosine. So let's write that. Secant is 1 over cosine. And when I'm looking at this, there's a 1 plus cosine over cosine. So when I write 1, let's not just write plus 1. Let's write it as cosine over cosine. So that you have this as a fraction, plus I have this as a fraction, and they have a common denominator. So if you put these two fractions together, look what happens. On top you'll have 1 plus cosine. On the bottom you'll just have the common denominator of cosine, which is what I wanted. 1 plus cosine of theta over cosine. So that's steps I went through to kind of verify that that equation actually is true. You can see all the steps I went through here. Hopefully it made sense to you. That's all I got.